Welcome to another episode of The Drive presented by Oddschecker. I am your host, Andy Lack. I am joined, as always, by Geoff Fienberg. Jeffrey, I can't believe we're already here. It's our final major of the season, Open Championship Week. How we doing on this fine Monday evening?
I'm doing well. I have no real complaints. I do have a hard time feeling like super confident about anything I'm kind of putting out there this week. It is the Open Championship. The variables are raised, be it weather or bad breaks. But yeah, other than that, I don't know, keep on keeping on. Haven't exactly, had the best luck of the draw lately, but we keep grinding here.
Yeah, I would say that this is the first major championship that I have entered in as long as I can remember, at least the last four or five majors where I came into today and I filled out a betting card. I'm ready to go. I know who my picks are, but these are by far the most golfers I've bet over 50 to 1 to win a major in
Okay.
quite some time. I bet nine golfers this week, Geoff. Six of them are over 100 to 1.
So talk to me
Zero.
about your thinking on this strategy that a wild cards are clearly in play, right?
Well, I mean, there is a pretty strong historical precedent for it. I mean, I'm not saying this tournament is wide open, but if you go back over across the last decade, like I'm not even trying to be a prisoner of the moment with the Harmon thing, like where he won as a long shot last year. Um, we've only had three winners of the last 10 opens under 25 to 1. And it's
Interesting. Yeah.
it's a lot more of like Harmon and Zach Johnson were the only guys above 100, but like Shane Lowry, 75 to 1, Colin Morikawa, 40 to 1. Cameron Smith, 25 to 1. Francesco Molinari, 25 to 1. We've had this pretty strong group of golfers in the 25 to 100 range that are accounting for seven of your last 10 Open champions. And if we go back a little bit further, it gets a little bit tougher with the historical golf odds. But this is a tournament that we actually used to see like more upsets than we have over the last 10 years historically. Like I think we are out of the Ben Curtis, Todd Hamilton days. Like I still think we are firmly in the Brian Harmon zone in terms of like a guy who's playing great golf, but may not be a super heralded major championship winner, can absolutely win this tournament. And there is a strong precedent for that in Open championships. And I think just looking at historical trends, Jeffrey, I think there's a lot of guys in the 25 to 150 range. I know that's a very large range, but I'm eliminating all of the favorites of the tournament. I think there are a lot of guys that are in great form, that are very accurate drivers of the ball and great approach players that are live as hell this week.
The Open Championship, unlike the US Open and PGA Championship, definitely feels like there's a player profile that it opens the door for. That we, just when we're about to do a US Open or a PGA Championship show, there's like a player profile that you almost just put red ink through, right? They don't hit it long enough. That like, a lot of to those natural setups. So the door is certainly open for different types here, Andy. I got a couple bets in as well, not as many as you. Still some decisions to be made, but let's start this off, friend.
Yeah, let's dive in. So, I mean, I think we can talk about the favorites in conversation with each other because there's definitely going to be a bunch of long shots that we want to get to towards the end. But let's start with Scheffler and Rory. And then we can do a brief conversation on Ludwig, Xander, Bryson, Morikawa, Rom, all the way up to Fleetwood. But here's the only thing that I will say about Scheffler and Rory. Um, I'm not betting either of them. I have bet both of them at major championships this year, and it has not worked out well for me. Rory at the Masters and Scheffler at the U.S. Open. The one thing that I will say is that the pendulum has swung a little bit too far on I don't really understand why everybody, just myself included, collectively decided that Scheffler was going to win the US Open and now are collectively deciding that we're no longer as afraid of him. I'm not betting him to win. He's not my pick to win. But if we are talking pure course fit, Scheffler is like just as likely to win the Open Championship as he is the US Open in terms of how this golf course sets up for his game.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue it may be like to the point you've made by your betting card is you just feel the door is open for so many more players as
Totally.
opposed to just trying to fight off, the other super elites. I was on Rory at the US Open. That ended with a kick in the nuts. Um, yeah, I'm not betting either of them. I really didn't think that hard about it. I'd rather have
Who,
fun
who are
build.
you who are you more afraid of this week?
I honestly, like, you're putting me on the spot. You'd think I'd have an answer. It's a bit of a toss up. I'll still say Scheffler because I think that
Yeah.
floor is probably higher. I'm not looking to pick on him. Rory, one of the reasons I liked him so much at the US Open is it just felt quieter around him after there's always so much noise, never truly silent, but just quieter.
Yeah.
Don't think that's the case this week. But on a list of like just golf fan, as long as he doesn't clip a guy I bet at the line, I'll be thrilled to watch Rory finally win it so he can, so we can stop talking about it and because I'm
Yeah.
a fan. But
Yeah.
I really didn't give either of them much thought, and that's a fair point. So many people were so quick to want to just hammer it at the US Open. They're not around this time. You could argue it's the same. I do think the Open allows for just a bigger collection of guys.
Yeah.
David's Davids
Yeah.
can we'll see a few Davids, like you said, on that leaderboard. You went up to 125-ish. A few Davids will be flirting with the Goliaths. And by flirting, I mean trying to take them down Sunday.
Yeah. I like Rory's course fit at Pinehurst more than I like it at this golf course, which may be a hot take because he has played quite well at Opens, but I have some concerns about Rory's golf course fit here. Let's talk about this next range. Why don't you rank them?
Right.
Ludwig, Xander, Bryson, Morikawa. Rank those guys 1 to 4. Because are you betting any of them? I'm not.
I'm not.
Yeah,
And
me
for
neither.
friends of ours who've, watched this a bunch this season, this is the first major, Andy. I come into the year without the Ludwig monsters.
Yeah.
So, I'm scared shitless. I don't know why I didn't make this one. I don't know why, but I made them at all the others and I didn't make it on this one. Um, Ludwig, Xander, Morikawa, Bryson, which might be unfair to Bryson.
This is
Um,
to win. This is like, who do you think you're most scared of to win?
and then honestly, maybe Xander or Bryson, just if they're actually playing well, if Bryson is got it figured out. I do think he doesn't like we acknowledge, like, yes, he is total bomb and gouge. I do think he is a little more cerebral at times than we want to give him credit for.
Yeah.
So if he's bringing his ceiling, like the driver putter, we're kind of all in big trouble. The way he dialed in those wedges at the US Open and such, the way he got up and down so beautifully. But I don't know if he'll get as many breaks off the beaten path like it seemed like he got at Pinehurst. But I'm more afraid of his ceiling than him and Xander's ceiling. And, Ludwig, I don't worry about the Sunday stuff. People are, in my opinion, overreacting to it. Uh,
Yeah.
and I just don't trust Morikawa. The stats say he's supposed to win. I mean, the picture of the year in golf for Morikawa is just going to be like him knees bent, missing like a 9-footer. Like that's,
Yeah.
yeah. Close my eyes. I think I call Morikawa. That's what I see. Any of these guys can get us, but I'm not. I am not betting them. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm
thought about
probably
Ludwig. I thought about Ludwig hard, Andy. I'd just rather get maybe two bodies for the price of what I would
one.
put on Ludwig, I think.
Yeah. I'm probably more afraid of Morikawa than you are based on the course fit. I'd probably go Morikawa, Bryson, Xander, Ludwig, but neither of them are making the cut for me. So now let's talk about the range we are probably betting. Um, Fire away, friend.
Okay, so I'm gonna be on John Rahm, Andy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I do.
I don't hate it.
I
I don't
hope he
hate
can
it.
listen. It might be the biggest question mark of like who's the likeliest, who do you trust the most at this moment to get into the fight this weekend? John Rahm would probably come below Tommy, below Hatton, who I also really like and would like to take another one. And I'm a sucker for Tommy, so I don't know how I'll be able to resist it. But if John Rahm is in the fight, I trust him more than any of them. I really
Yeah.
do. And it's hard to quantify what's happened on Live. I bet him at the PGA Championship to a horrible performance. The number drifted big at the US Open, and then we found out he was hurt and he withdrew. So I didn't have to make the decision there. But yeah, I'm a sucker. I could get fooled twice because I've been fooled once already in a major. And I don't know that I'll be able to resist Tommy. Bet 365 offers those 30% boosts. And those who have that site will know what I'm talking about. And I think I'm going to have to use mine on Tommy just to get it to a number that I don't really hate myself for.
Yeah. I would bet, not a hot take again. I mean, I would bet significant money that this Rom shows up in a way that he hasn't showed up at majors in the past year. I think that this will be, again, low bar to clear. I think that he will be relevant in this major. I think he'll finish in the top 20. I don't know if he's sharp enough to
That's
win
the
a major.
concern. That
I can't. Jeff, when's the last time that John Rahm has hit an important golf shot, like a serious golf shot with consequence? Last year's Masters,
I don't
right?
even know
Because
how to answer
like he
this.
wasn't really, it maybe the Open, but he never, maybe last year's Open because he never really had a chance to win. I guess I'd say last year's Open, he hit some important golf shots with consequence, but he kind of backdoored that T2. I just,
Probably the Ryder Cup, if we're honestly asking
yeah,
that
it's a good
question.
point. It's a good
Like
point. It's a really good
but that's
point.
still far away. And
Yeah.
that's a valid point, Andy. Um, in the same way, like he clearly, I don't know, maybe like, yes, it's competitive reps, but he seems off. And if you've watched it closely or from afar, whether via like memes or truly following Live, you've seen something just isn't right. And it is a risk. I am,
Yeah.
we're taking a risk for those of us who do want to back him. And on the other side of that's a guy like Hatton, who's literally gone from continent to continent, country to country, and every time he's put the tee in the ground, he's looked beautiful. He's struck it beautifully, and arguably pound for pound, one of the best links players alive. And I would say to people who are worried that number's short, it was never big. Like I'm telling you, as someone that likes to look at these future markets, and normally I do have a lot of futures, this tournament I don't. I'm telling you, months ago, as Hatton was just getting hot, for whatever reason, kind of like Tommy, there was never, the books are always capping what they're going to give you on that guy to win the Open. Even though before the US Open, he'd never really mixed heavily in a major. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think you'll see someone have this huge Hatton number because I don't think it ever existed. And the number might be more fair than your gut is saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. I knew coming into this week because I was really swimming around Rom, Morikawa, Hatton, and Fleetwood as like I was gonna pick two or three of those guys. I missed the Morikawa 20s. And I kind of dove into the numbers and I ultimately settled on Fleetwood over Hatton. I don't think there's a lot separating the two. Like I think if those guys are in the final group down the stretch with a Scheffler or a Rory, I probably trust Fleetwood and Hatton pretty equally to get it done. I guess my best excuse for betting Tommy Fleetwood at 25 to 1 to win a major. Um, I haven't bet him this year, if you want to call that an excuse. I don't know if I have the scar tissue maybe of like going to the well and going to the well and going to the well. That's not even
I
meant
think that
to guilt
matters. No,
trip
I mean
you.
that. Like
Yeah.
you're not beholden to some
Yeah. Yeah.
past result that keeps you
Right.
coming back.
Which I have with a
You've got
Rory
clear
McIlroy,
eyes
for
about
example.
Tommy.
I
Everyone knows
do.
watching this. I do not carry clear eyes as it pertains to Tommy. I just know at some point this week he's going to go full Fleetwood. Now, most people would say that's like the worst. You hate that. I look at the body of work and be like, no, sometimes full Fleetwood, like we need him to go, like we just got to do a little more. I
Right.
don't know if that makes any sense, but I acknowledge I don't see it clearly when it comes to Tommy one bit. So happy
Also,
to hear about you liking it.
Yeah, we got a squad this week. Me, you, Ben Coley. Also a just a course fit nugget for why I like Tommy Fleetwood. I do not think that, and this would be a reason to get off Morikawa. I do not think that you can miss right on this golf course. Like all of the out of bounds, all of the trouble is on the right side of this golf course. And this may also be a reason why you like Rory. It's a reason why I really like Corey Connors. There's a reason why Phil Mickelson as a lefty had a lot of success here. Like Fleetwood, when Fleetwood misses, he tends to overhook the ball like a lot of the same way that you see when Corey Connors misses. And I really like that his misses left. And I think that's like an underrated thing of like some of these guys that hit a low, tight draw, like Tommy Fleetwood and Corey Connors, who I also bet, um, versus some of the guys that hit a bit of a high, poofy fade, your Akshay or your Colin Morikawa. Um, I really think the optimal ball flight is the tight draw that misses left. And I think that's going to serve Fleetwood really well. I think this golf course is going to fit his eye, tee to green, quite well.
I hope you're right, Andy. Let's
Yeah,
and
let's move on. Who's next for you?
For me, it's we head into these 50s and there are some attractive options. I have a future. I've come in with two futures and they're both in this range. Neiman and Tagala, both at 100 to 1. I don't mind either of them at their current numbers. Neiman's gone down a bit today because I saw some 70s still out there earlier for him, but yeah, Neiman would be a guy I like. Tagala, I obviously like. My arm does not need to be twisted too hard to get on board with the Tony Finau 50 to 1s. He is striking it beautifully. He's Open has been kind to a bit of a veteran presence. Finau certainly fits that veteran presence right now. I mean, it could maybe be time for me to jump in here, but those would be the guys sort of in that 40 to 60 to 1 range that have my attention, Andy.
I'm in on Finau, which you know, what is who am I, betting Finau and Fleetwood in 2024 to win a major. This is something I claim to do somewhat seriously professionally, but um the number I'm very beholden to the numbers, and the numbers have given me a career in the first place. So I just love what I'm seeing out of Tony Finau right now from a ball striking standpoint. And then the other guy that I would briefly mention is I, more of a number play for me. Not that I don't love the course fit. Like I didn't really understand why Patrick Cantlay was 45 to 1 coming off back-to-back top five finishes, including a US Open. Like we always kept asking for Cantlay, just feel it in a major championship. Okay, we can check that off the box. Like he had a very legitimate chance to win a US Open late on Sunday. Like he stayed in the mix at that US Open until the very end. And now he's 45 to 1 when, I love me some Shane Lowry, but why is Shane Lowry lower than Patrick Cantlay right now? Like I took a piece of that 45 to 1. I just think it's a good number.
Hard to disagree. Even shouted that out this morning, making some content. Like, sometimes it feels like it's hard to find fair numbers. The way Cantley has played recently, the way he has played in a major, the last one, I'd argue that's a fair number. Sometimes it's easy for me to throw some low hanging fruit jokes at, but I can't argue with anything. I can't argue with anything you said there. And the fact that you've gone Finau and Fleetwood, like you're doing like my friends and family card at the moment there, Andy.
I
So
know.
I got no stones to throw at you. And as much as I like throwing stones at Patrick Cantley, I actually think for the number and the range and the player, I don't hate it. I got nothing bad to say. It's a guy I should probably be looking at. And if he's being ignored, maybe that could even get higher.
So I'll finish us off, and I'll just reel off my names, and then you mix in any other guys you want to give mention to before
Corey
we wrap
Connors is
up.
my favorite loser from like
Me
60
too.
to 100.
I bet
Like,
him. I bet him 100. That number's crashing a little bit.
yeah, and you know
I
how sometimes say in this range, like people could talk me into a guy, but like, there's my own guys that I'd like to would want to just back here. For me, it would be Corey Connors. And you mentioned earlier that was one that you are working with. Who else in front of 100?
Well, there's like two different categories for me. There's accurate drivers of the ball that are in amazing form and great approach players. And I have four guys over 100 to 1 that I bet in that category. And then there are olds that have great open championship resume and semi
So
deserve
can I
one
guess
more
how many
are in
names
good
are out?
form.
How many names do you have to give us?
I just give I don't give need to give the reasons for why I'm on them because again they're in two distinct categories. But
I
I have four accurate drivers in elite form and two olds that have great links form.
Well, one of the olds is probably Louis, and you got on a bigger number than the crash that clearly has happened today. Am I right
What
there?
110?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely, beautiful, great find. Um, you threw Boccia out there earlier.
Uh
Nope,
didn't make the cut for me, but I get it.
that was a
Um,
tease. Yeah, no, fair enough.
yeah. Aaron Rye, 100 to
Okay.
1. That number's crashing.
Yeah,
100 to 1 on Bodog this morning. We hit that hard.
okay. I mean, I could see why it makes sense. I would just, I don't know that the ceiling's there to be a major champion, but I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
don't
going to
really,
fight it.
yeah, I didn't think that with Harmon though. I agree. Like,
You bet
um,
Harmon?
no, 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 no. I'm just
Oh,
saying last year. Russell Henley, 170 to 1. That number's crashed. Siwoo Kim. I'm trust me, I am my personal money is not moving the markets, but these are some sharp plays that I've conversed on with people that do have the ability to move the market. So they're only going in one direction. Like I would Henley and Siwoo Kim are down to 125. Like I'm fine with them at that number. I bet them at 170. But Aaron Rye, Louis Oosthuizen, Russell Henley, Siwoo Kim, um, and then I bet Jason Day at 150 to 1.
all right. Andy is loaded up the last major of the year. No joke, Andy. I'm not going to be exposed. Right now I'm light. Um, and I will be heavy. I am heavy, but I will be have a heavy card, sort of like you. It's major championship golf is a fetish of mine, and responsibly, I have to say that this is the last time I plan on being heavy until like week 1 of NFL. So I'm gonna go heavy, and then we're just gonna coast through the rest of the golf season. I think, to be perfectly honest.
Fair enough. I mean, this is really the last huge week for me as well. I mean, I think
Yeah, like I'm
we
not
kind of
going to be hitting the exposure I hit this week. I will not be there again till like week 1
no,
football.
no. So, any other names that we missed that you want to throw out?
Uh like Alex Noren can't win. It was nice to see him get in the field. He was just I've seen like his numbers as high as 110, as low as 66 to 1 using that odds checker grid. Remember, check that grid, get yourself the highest number. Hitting winners is hard enough. So when you hit one, make sure you're getting paid out the most you absolutely can. So you've got more money to bet on other guys in future weeks. Questions. Not entirely. Andy, I agree. It's a bit of a wild card.
Yeah.
Which player in this field would you put as a minus 110 head to head matchup versus Jordan Spieth?
Minus 110 against
Like an
Spieth.
even matchup. Like you don't have to want to bet it. I'm just saying, like, it could be so boring your eyes would just scroll by it. But who is like a fair tournament matchup for Jordan Spieth? That would be even money both sides if you had to pick someone.
Probably like Benny on.
Oh, notice
You,
Benny On's like 200 to 1. So
you
take
take
that.
Benny. I mean, like
No, I didn't say take him, but I'm just saying take that
Jake,
for what it's
just
worth.
who'd you rather bet this week, Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth?
Jordan Spieth.
I would too. Like Jordan Spieth has finished top 25 in his last six opens.
I
Something
am
about
hoping
this.
I could find a Connors versus Spieth though, maybe.
Yeah, I'd hammer Connors there, but well, Homa or Spieth, that's
Spieth.
tough.
I don't know.
Spieth,
Homa like actually can't seem to hit a golf ball right now. That's just I don't
yeah.
know. I don't need any part of that. So um I'll quickly recap myself and then you'll run through yours and then we'll get out of here and people can enjoy the Open. I'm going to bet on John Rahm. I'm not going to be able to bet on Tommy Fleetwood. I'm
Yeah.
probably going to bet on another good player. I'm going to bet on Tony Finau, and I have my futures with Neiman and Tigala. So that's where I sit. That's where I sit right now. But there's a lot of Corey Connors is another one that I probably don't know that I'll just for my own peace of mind because I love that guy. Is someone else who I'm staring at. I do see what Andy is saying. I just sometimes don't have the ability to bet, like to just see, I don't know, to trust certain levels of the board in a tournament of this magnitude. But he brought the hard data, so you can listen to him. Who's read it off for us, Andy?
Tommy Fleetwood 25 to 1, Patrick Cantlay 45 to 1, Tony Finau 50 to 1, Connors 100, Rye 100, Louis 110, Day 150, Henley 170, Siwoo Kim 170.
An
So
eclectic mix.
six guys above 100 to win the Open. One of them will be there. One of them
Yeah.
will be there on Sunday. I think so. So, all right, Jeffrey. We'll be back next week talking 3M Open. God, that'll be a stark juxtaposition
Well,
from
after this, it's like a couple dead weeks, then we're into the FedEx Cup.
yeah, yeah. Which what is the FedEx Cup anymore in
Yeah, what
2024?
is the FedEx Cup? Well, yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's almost
Our
football.
almost football. Almost football. Who's your Super Bowl pick?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't dove in yet either. I usually do that like once we get to 3M,
If you
you
ask
know.
me right now, I do think there's a bit of value on the Eagles, but I don't want to be held
I
to
like
that. You
that.
put me on the
I
spot. You put me
I
on
like
the
that.
spot.
Yeah, I like that. All right, Jeffrey. Cheers, buddy. Enjoy the golf this week.
Last major of the year. Enjoy it, friends.